The Winchester rifle cracked like thunder across Redemption Creek's dusty square, the 44-40 round finding its mark in Thompson's right shoulder. Blood bloomed across his filthy shirt as he crumpled against the rusty iron cage. Inside, the Apache woman remained still, watchful, calculating, her dark eyes meeting Marcus Calloway's steady gaze. "That was your warning shot," Marcus called out, working the lever action with practiced efficiency, the spent casing arcing through the Arizona Sunday. "The next one centers your skull." Midday heat shimmered off weathered storefronts and hard-packed earth. The crowd of onlookers scattered for cover, all except Sheriff Wilson, who approached cautiously, peacemaker holstered but visible. "You've stirred up a hornet's nest, Calloway," Wilson said, spurs jingling with each step. "Frank Reeves is riding with the Comancheros now, 15 guns strong. He finds out you shot his brother, you're dead before sunset." Marcus ignored him, attention fixed on the Apache woman. Recognition hit him like artillery fire at Shiloh. 3 years earlier, ambushed by Comanche raiders near Yellow Bluff, he'd taken a poisoned arrow through his side. This woman had found him delirious with fever, treated his wounds with a poultice of white sage and yucca root. She'd vanished before he could thank her, leaving only a name whispered during his fevered dreams: Sarah. "The key," Marcus demanded, gesturing toward the cage lock. Thompson spat blood. $5, soldier boy. $5 for damaged goods. Marcus tossed 5 gold double eagles, not paper currency, into the dust. "She belongs to no one." Sheriff Wilson shifted uncomfortably. "Paperwork says different, Calloway. Apache tribes are selling their own these days. Times are hard." "Then file your paperwork," Marcus replied, his 1,851 Navy Colt appearing in his left hand without seeming to move. "But do it after we've gone." The lock gave way. Sarah stepped out, dignity intact despite her torn deerskin dress. She stood nearly as tall as Marcus's 6-foot frame, her posture unbowed by captivity. A small leather pouch hung from her neck, hidden partially beneath her collar. "Ahehe," she whispered. "Thank you." They hadn't taken 3 steps when Thompson's men materialized from the saloon, 4 of them, whiskey brave and armed with Remington revolvers. "The girl stays," the tallest growled, thumbing back his hammer. "Livery, gray Mustang," Marcus murmured to Sarah. "I'll be right behind you." She slipped away as the first shot rang out. Marcus dropped to one knee, drawing the Navy Colt in a fluid motion perfected during the Battle of Antietam. His first shot caught the shooter's sternum, the heavy, .36 caliber ball-shattering bone. His second found another man's throat, the soft lead projectile expanding on impact. He rolled behind a water trough as bullets splintered wood around him. Retrieving his Winchester, Marcus rose in one explosive movement. 2 more shots left, 2 more men dying, their blood darkening the thirsty dust. At the livery, Sarah had already bridled the gray Mustang, a half-wild creature Marcus had purchased from Comancheros after the war. She mounted with the grace of someone born to the saddle. Marcus swung up behind her, and they thundered from Redemption Creek as curses faded behind them. They rode hard toward Devil's Canyon, the Mustang's powerful stride eating ground despite the double burden. Only when the town vanished behind red sandstone formations did Marcus slow to preserve the animal's strength. "You remember me," Sarah said, her English precise though accented. "Not a question. You saved my life near Yellow Bluff, Comanche poison arrow." Sarah nodded. "White sage, yucca root, prayer to the mountain spirits." "Why were you in that cage?" Marcus guided the Mustang toward a narrow draw that offered shelter from both pursuit and the punishing Sunday. Sarah's silence stretched long enough that Marcus thought she might not answer. "I am Dene Bazad," she finally said. "Not Ani, daughter, what whites call medicine woman, but more." She touched the leather pouch at her neck. "I am keeper of secrets. Last one, who knows Sacred Silver's location? The Spanish mine? That's just a legend." Sarah shook her head. "Not legend. Truth. My grandfather showed me passages when I was child. Ancient tunnels beneath Zil Lagai Mountains. Silver so pure it flows like water in torchlight. And your people sold you anyway? Bitterness edged his voice. Black Hawk, once mine. When drought came, he told tribal council, I brought bad spirits, that my father's white blood cursed our land. Her jaw tightened. Traded me to Thompson for Winchester rifles and cornmeal. Thinks I will break, beg to return. Tell him mine's location to save myself. Marcus processed this as canyon walls rose around them. Not random cruelty then, a calculated move in a larger game, one with deadly stakes. My old ranch lies 3 days south, he said. Not much left, but it's defensible. My war brother James watches it now. Why help me? Sarah turned slightly in the saddle. You know trouble follows. Marcus considered this as shadows lengthened across the trail. The smart play would be to set her free and ride hard in the opposite direction. 15 years ago at Shiloh, I watched men in blue and gray die for principles they barely understood, he said finally. After that much bloodshed, a man needs something true to fight for. The simple honesty silenced them both. The ranch appeared at sunset 2 days later, a low adobe structure with stone outbuildings nestled against rocky foothills. Wind and neglect had worn it down, much like the man who stood guard on its porch. James Buchanan rested his Whitworth rifle on the porch rail, its 451 caliber bore capable of dropping a man at 800 yards. The empty trouser leg pinned at his knee told the story of Gettysburg, of grape shot and field surgery, of comrades fallen and a cause lost. State your business before my finger gets itchy, James called, the Virginia Piedmont still thick in his voice despite years in Arizona territory. It's Marcus, you one-legged devil, still jump at shadows? James's weathered face cracked into a reluctant smile. Calloway, you magnificent bastard. The smile vanished when he spotted Sarah. Bringing Apache trouble to my doorstep? Thought you'd learned after Tucson. She's not trouble, she's a debt I'm paying. James lowered his rifle with obvious reluctance. Your debts keep getting prettier, but no less dangerous. That night, after a meal of salt, pork, and mesquite beans, James pulled Marcus aside on the porch. The desert night had turned cold, stars burning like signal fires against the black vault of sky. Tell me straight, James said, pouring 2 fingers of Kentucky bourbon into tin cups. What mess have you dragged us into? Marcus explained about Thompson, Reeves, and the Apache silver mine. James listened, his expression growing grimmer with each detail. So we've got a cutthroat gang out for blood, plus an Apache war party hunting silver. James drained his bourbon. Wonderful. This how you thank me for watching your worthless property? I can ride on come morning, Marcus offered. James laughed bitterly. When did we ever walk away from a fight? Not at Bull Run, not at Chancellorsville, not even at Appomattox when Sent said surrender. Marcus studied his oldest friend, the man who'd carried him from the field at Antietam, who'd held their line at Fredericksburg when Union forces broke through. They'd survived the war only to find peace equally unforgiving. This isn't your battle, Marcus insisted. None of them were, brother. James refilled their cups. But we fought anyway. The next morning, Marcus showed Sarah how to handle his backup Colt Frontier 6-shooter. The revolver was chambered in. 44-40, the same cartridge his Winchester used, allowing ammunition to be shared between rifle and pistol. Feel the balance, he instructed, guiding her grip. Sight along the barrel, not over it. When you squeeze the trigger, don't pull. Let it surprise you. Sarah proved a natural marksman. By midday, she was consistently hitting bottles at 30 yards, impressive for a weapon designed for close work. You shoot like you were born to it, Marcus observed as the 5th bottle exploded. Apache women not weak like white women, she replied with the ghost of a smile. We hunt, we fight. When Comanche come, we defend while men away. In turn, Sarah taught them Apache methods of desert survival, how to extract water from barrel cactus, how to track game by bent grass and disturbed stones, how to move silently across terrain that would betray most men with every step. Press heel first, then outer edge of foot, then ball. she demonstrated. Like mountain lion walks, silent, deadly. Marcus absorbed these lessons with the focus of a man who'd survived war and frontier through adaptability. James watched their growing connection with knowing eyes, but kept his counsel. On the fourth night, Sarah approached Marcus as he tended the Mustang. Moonlight silvered the corral, turning weathered wood to bone. "What mark on your chest?" she asked. "I saw when you changed bandage." Marcus's hand went instinctively to his shirt, covering the puckered scar beneath. Minier Ball, Antietam Creek, the 17th of September, 1862. Minnie died there? 23,000, bloody a single day in the war. He paused, memories surfacing unwanted. "I was with Stonewall Jackson's corps. Union troops broke through at the West Woods. James dragged me 2 miles to a field hospital." Sarah's eyes held no judgment. "You fought for slaves?" "No, for Virginia, for home." Marcus turned to face her fully. "But that doesn't wash blood clean." Before she could respond, hoofbeats approached a rider, pushing hard through moonlight. James was already at the porch, Whitworth raised. The messenger nearly fell from his lathered horse. "Sheriff Wilson sent me?" He gasped. "Reeves hit Redemption Creek yesterday. 15 men riding with him. Put 500 in gold for you both, dead or alive." Marcus passed his canteen. "That all?" "No, there's an Apache with them. Big man with facial scars, calls himself Black Hawk. Carries a Springfield trapdoor rifle taken off a dead cavalry officer." Sarah tensed at the name. "How long before they ride out?" Marcus asked. "They hadn't when I left, but they were asking questions. It won't take long." Marcus tossed the rider a gold eagle. "Get to Fort Huachuca. Stay there." After the messenger departed, they gathered around the kitchen table, an oil lamp casting long shadows across adobe walls. Sarah's face remained composed, but her hands betrayed her. Twisting a leather cord with practiced fingers preparing a garrote, Marcus realized. A weapon of last resort. "They will attack before dawn," she said, "when night spirits still walk, when white men sleep heaviest." Marcus nodded. "James? Ammunition?" 40 rounds for the Whitworth, maybe 200 for the Winchesters, box of shells for the shotgun. They worked through the night. Marcus dug rifle pits behind the stone corral, calculating fields of fire and fallback positions. James positioned his Whitworth in the hayloft, where its superior range could be maximized. Sarah prepared Apache defenses, pitfalls concealed with brush, tripwires connected to shotgun traps, barriers that would funnel attackers into killing zones. The attack came precisely as Sarah predicted that darkest hour before dawn, when night still claimed the land. Rifle fire erupted from the eastern ridge. Marcus was already in position behind the north wall, James in the hayloft, Sarah moving between them with additional ammunition. 8 riders approaching from the east, James called down. Classic pincer formation, cavalry tactics. Marcus caught movement in the scrub brush. 3 on foot to the south, military boots, not Apache. The first attacker broke cover, running toward the main house. Marcus's Winchester cracked the 44-40 round, catching the man mid-stride. A second attacker followed, then a third. James's Whitworth boomed from above. The heavy British rifle's report distinctive above the chaos. A distant rider tumbled from his horse, but the attackers had numbers. Bullets splintered wood and ricocheted off stone. A fire arrow Apache tactic struck the barn roof, flames quickly consuming dry timber. Sarah appeared at Marcus's side, the Colt smoking in her hand. 2 by the well, she reported, no longer. A rifle bullet grazed Marcus's arm, hot pain lancing through muscle. He ignored it, firing methodically, each shot finding its mark. Years of war had taught him efficiency in killing no wasted rounds, no hesitation. James's cry came from the burning barn. Marcus turned to see his friend clutching his leg, blood soaking through his trousers where his remaining good leg had been hit. Sarah was already moving, dragging the older man toward the house as Marcus provided covering fire, alternating between Winchester and Colt when targets presented themselves. Inside, Sarah tore James's pant leg away. The bullet had shattered his femur, a potentially fatal wound on the frontier. Just my luck, James gritted through clenched teeth. Now I'll match on both sides. Sarah worked quickly, applying pressure, then a poultice from her medicine pouch. White sage stops bleeding, she explained. Yucca root fights putrefaction, but needs more medicine than I have. How long before it takes effect? Marcus asked, reloading both weapons. Hours, maybe day. Needs redwood bark to heal bone, found only in mountains. Outside, the attackers had fallen back, regrouping. A temporary reprieve. Why are you worth all this? James asked Sarah, his voice strained. What makes one Apache woman worth so much bloodshed? Sarah hesitated, then reached for her pouch, producing a piece of silver ore so pure it seemed to catch fire in the lamplight. Veins of metal ran through it like liquid lightning. Beesh Wigai Hadley, she said. The living silver, sacred to Apache for 1,000 years. Spanish missionaries found it 1,680, tried to steal. Apache killed them, sealed mine. She replaced the ore carefully. I am last keeper. If Blackhawk finds it, he sells to mining companies. Our sacred land destroyed. Our people scattered. Marcus understood now. Sarah wasn't just a tribal healer, she was the guardian of her people's future. Fort Huachuca is 2 days' hard ride, he decided. Captain Reynolds was my lieutenant during Chancellorsville. He'll help us. Sarah shook her head. Cannot leave James. I'm not asking, James interrupted, his eyes clear despite the pain. Go, both of you. I've got 30 rounds for the Whitworth. I'll make them count. Marcus clasped his friend's shoulder. I'll come back for you, brother. Try to bring better whiskey next time, James replied with a ghost of his old smile. They departed at midday when attackers would least expect movement. Marcus led Sarah through a hidden arroyo behind the property, their horses' hooves muffled by cloth. The journey toward Fort Huachuca was brutal, hard riding alternating with careful navigation across exposed terrain. Sarah proved an exceptional horsewoman, reading the land with the instinct of one born to it. On the second night, camped in a rocky overhang, she finally asked the question, clearly troubling her. Your friend will die because of me. Why continue? Marcus fed small sticks into their nearly smokeless fire. James has been dying since Gettysburg. The surgeons took his leg, but they couldn't remove the memories. And you? What ghosts haunt your sleep, Marcus Calloway? The question struck like physical blow. He'd never shared the worst of his war memories, not with anyone. But something about this woman's direct gaze made evasion impossible. Antietam Creek, he said finally. We caught a company of Union soldiers trying to cross. Boys, mostly, 16, 17 years old. New recruits. He stared into the flames. The water ran red for hours afterward. That night, I could hear them calling for their mothers. Sarah moved closer, studying his face in firelight. Yet you fight still, to keep others living. Habit, he said, but they both recognized the lie. At dawn, they continued toward Fort Huachuca. By midday, the fort's flagpole was visible in the distance. For the first time in days, Marcus felt hope. It died quickly. A rider approached from the fort, a scout Marcus recognized as Reynolds' man. The scout reined in hard when he spotted them. Calloway, don't approach. Apache spotted with Captain Reynolds yesterday. Big man, scarred face. They're waiting for you. Marcus's blood ran cold. Reynolds sold us out. Blackhawk, Sarah whispered. He offers much gold, more than silver badges honor worth. The scout nodded grimly. Captain said to bring any Apache woman straight to him. Special reward. He spat into the dirt. Sorry, sir. Some of us still remember what honor means. Marcus tossed the man his spare canteen. Get back before you're missed. You never saw us. As the scout rode away, Marcus turned to Sarah. Change of plans. We ride south. To where? Reeves behind, Blackhawk ahead. Back to James, Marcus said. It's the last place they'll expect. The ranch was a smoldering ruin when they returned. The barn collapsed. The main house, bullet-riddled and partially burned. But James had survived, barricaded in the root cellar with 3 dead attackers at the entrance to prove he hadn't gone quietly. "Thought you'd be halfway to Mexico by now," he said when they pulled him from his hiding place. His wounded leg had developed infection, but Sarah's medicine had prevented the worst. Plans changed. Marcus helped him to the one remaining chair on the porch. Reynolds is working with Blackhawk. James laughed without humor. "Of course he is. Probably sold his sword to the Yankees too if the price was right." As they salvaged what they could from the ruins, Sarah grew suddenly alert, her head tilted toward the southern ridge. "Riders coming, many." Marcus reached for his Winchester, but Sarah shook her head. "Not enemies. My cousin Hunter. I sent smoke signal before we left." Within minutes, 5 Apache warriors appeared on the ridge, led by a powerfully built man whose bearing marked him as a leader. They approached cautiously, weapons ready but not aimed. Hunter dismounted, greeting Sarah in Apache before switching to English. "My cousin said a white man with honor saved her." His eyes assessed Marcus. "Rare thing these days." "Becoming extinct," Marcus agreed. Hunter explained that after Sarah's forced departure, divisions had formed within the tribe. Many questioned Blackhawk's leadership, especially after learning of his deals with white settlers and the army. Hunter had gathered loyal warriors to find Sarah and stop Blackhawk. "He comes now," Hunter said. "Army man betrayed him too, told him you return here." Marcus surveyed their meager defenses, 3 exhausted fighters, 5 warriors, against superior numbers. "How many?" "Blackhawk brings 10 warriors. Reeves has 7 men left." Despite the odds, Marcus felt a strange calm settle over him. This was always how it would end, outnumbered, back against the wall, fighting for something that mattered. They worked swiftly, Hunter's warriors helping fortify what remained of the ranch. James, propped against sandbags with his Whitworth, would target officers from maximum range. The Apache warriors would use their superior knowledge of terrain to attack from multiple angles. Marcus and Sarah would defend the main approach. Sunset painted the desert blood red when Blackhawk's forces arrived silhouettes against the darkening sky. Reeves rode beside him, an unholy alliance of greed and vengeance. "Calloway," Reeves's voice carried across open ground. "Send out the Apache woman and we'll let you live." Marcus didn't bother responding. Words were finished. Only blood would settle this now. The attack came in waves, first Reeves's men charging directly, then Blackhawk's warriors attempting to flank their position. The defenders held, James's precision shooting, disrupting any coordinated effort. Hunter's warriors striking from hidden positions. Marcus and Sarah working in deadly concert, but ammunition dwindled, wounds accumulated. James took a bullet in his shoulder. Hunter lost 2 warriors. Marcus felt himself weakening from blood loss after a bullet creased his side. Reeves, seeing their faltering defense, led a final charge himself. Marcus met him in the open yard, both men's guns empty, reduced to knife and fist. They collided like thunderheads, years of frontier violence distilled into 2 men grappling in the dust. Reeves was younger, heavier, fueled by hatred, but Marcus had survived Shiloh, Antietam, and 1,000 frontier hardships. His Arkansas toothpick found Reeves's throat as the outlaw's Bowie knife sliced across his ribs. Blackhawk, seeing his ally fallen, confronted Sarah directly. He spoke rapidly in Apache, his gestures growing more threatening. Sarah stood her ground, responding with quiet dignity that seemed to enrage him further. She turned to the remaining Apache warriors, speaking loudly enough for all to hear. Marcus caught only fragments, accusations of betrayal, of selling their heritage for white man's gold, of abandoning sacred traditions for personal gain. The warriors' expressions changed. Several looked toward Blackhawk with new suspicion. Blackhawk, seeing his authority challenged, lunged at Sarah with a knife. Marcus threw himself forward despite his wounds, intercepting the blade meant for her heart. White-hot pain exploded through his chest as the knife struck. He collapsed, expecting darkness to follow. Instead, he felt pressure against the wound. Opening his eyes, he saw Sarah kneeling beside him, her hands working quickly. She pulled something from his shirt pocket, the silver Confederate dollar he'd carried since 1863, now dented and bloody. Blackhawk's knife had struck it directly, deflecting the blade enough to prevent a killing blow. Diin Bikagi, Sarah murmured. Holy ones protect you. Beyond them, Hunter engaged Blackhawk in single combat, a ritual duel that ended with Blackhawk's lifeblood soaking into the same earth that had absorbed so much already. The surviving attackers fled or surrendered. By dawn, the dead had been buried according to their traditions, the wounded treated by Sarah's skilled hands. Hunter approached as Sarah finished binding Marcus's wounds. Council acknowledges their error, he told her. You may return with honor, as keeper of secrets. Sarah looked at Marcus, something unspoken passing between them. My place is here now, she told her cousin, but I will visit, teach children our ways. Hunter nodded, understanding in his eyes. He clasped Marcus's arm in warrior fashion before departing with his remaining men. 6 months passed. The ranch rose again stronger, improved with both Western engineering and Apache wisdom. James's leg healed enough for him to move with a crutch, though he complained endlessly about having to hop like a damn grasshopper. Sarah expanded the garden, introducing native plants with medicinal properties alongside traditional crops. Sheriff Wilson rode out one autumn afternoon, bringing news and a proposal. Town council wants to appoint a deputy U.S. Marshal for the territory, he said, watching Marcus repair fencing. Someone who understands both sides of the border, someone both settlers and Apaches respect. Marcus straightened, wiping sweat from his brow. Sounds like work for a younger man. Sounds like work for someone who's proven they'll stand for what's right, regardless of the cost. Wilson extended a silver badge. The war's over, Marcus. Maybe it's time to build something instead of just surviving. That evening, Sarah found Marcus on the porch, the badge gleaming in his palm. You will take it, she said, not a question. Thinking about it, he tucked the badge away. It would mean riding into trouble instead of waiting for it to find us. Sarah sat beside him, her hand finding his. Trouble finds us anyway, better to meet it on our terms. Their wedding combined Apache tradition with frontier pragmatism, Sarah in a dress of white deerskin adorned with silver, Marcus in a black coat borrowed from James. Hunter returned with tribal elders who had come to make peace. Even Reynolds appeared, shamefaced and seeking redemption. As sunset painted the desert gold, Sheriff Wilson approached with news that cast a shadow over the celebration. Jack Reeves crossed the border last week. Word is he's gathering men, swearing to finish what his brother started. Marcus looked at Sarah, then checked the Colt at his hip, a lawman's weapon now, backed by a marshal's authority and the hard-won wisdom of too many battles. Let him come, he said quietly. Some men only understand one language. Sarah nodded, the silver pendant at her throat catching the last light of day. And we speak it fluently. Together they faced the setting sun, watching darkness gather at the edges of their hard-won peace, ready for whatever dawn would bring.